Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series.
Because creators are businesses.
What we do is not simple.
Give, the fans everything that they deserve.
Being creative
is like doing a 5,000 piece puzzle.
Is something that you can learn and do over and over again.
Always be as authentic as I can be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today to have Miss Kerriann Hammock here with me today. We are in person, the only way Kerriann does podcasts.
She's a picky bitch.
Am I allowed to say bad words?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
And we're off.
And she's the founder and maker at Violette Eve Candle Co. She's the founder of the Unruly Women Collective, and she's the host of the Unruly Women podcast. She's here with me today. We're going to get into some of this unruliness.
I think we already started.
We already started before.
We're done recording for the day and can go home.
Didn't ask any questions. We just went down.
Nope. Just enjoy my inability to sit still.
I love it. We're going to get into these two sectors of your life and just all these different things, but I want to get into the Unruly Women Collective first.
Okay.
What inspired this? What kind of wanted you to bring this community together?
Not the plan at all.
Okay.
Not the plan at all. So I wanted to sell my candles.
Okay.
And I couldn't get into local markets because they already had their candle girl. Mm-hmm. Not the first person to make a candle.
Yep.
Not the one of the oldest crafts in the world.
Yep.
In the history of life.
Yes.
So I wanted to sell my candles and I was considering brick and mortar, but was way too soon.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to have to throw my own event and have somewhere people could find me once a month. And that was kind of the thought behind it.
Love it.
That was the only intention. Before Unruly, I have like girlfriends I've had for years. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a community.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about building a community. I was thinking about selling candles and then getting other women to be able to sell their products or services with me and like using each other to leverage our market share. But that was it. What it became was something completely different.
Yeah. I love it though.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
It's like almost you created your own version of like trunk shows of what it was like 10 years ago of when people would come and literally sell a product in their house. And have all the old good, like Mary Kay parties and things like that.
Pampered Chef.
Yes. But it's like
or
upscale.
the sex ones. They had like
They did.
What are those called? Let's not market for them. Actually, we're not advertising for them today. Unless there's payment involved.
Unless this is sponsored. Unruly. Why unruly?
Okay. So it was unhinged, untamed, unruly. It was one of those. And I was talking to one of my girlfriends at the time who I wanted her to help me do the marketing stuff because believe this, I didn't consider myself to be a marketing person before this, which everyone is like, you're stupid. But so I talked to her about it. I was like, okay, well, let's name it. Let's make it a thing. And just in case we want to keep doing it.
Yeah. And
so I was like unhinged, untamed. Why did I want it to be that? Probably because I was throwing my own parties because nobody would let me into there. So I was already going against the grain in a sense. And that's just kind of me.
Yeah.
And Unruly was
I love that.
What we went with.
I love that. And okay, going back to, you were in corporate America making, helping companies make millions of dollars. Why get out of corporate America, first of all, and go and do your own thing?
Well, that's twofold. So one being, there was a step to this process, right?
Yeah.
So I worked in the fashion industry for 15 years.
Okay.
And then I came to North Carolina. And that was kind of like step one of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I want to keep focusing on the hustle culture.
No.
Then I got a job with a real estate developer, a $2 billion company, and was their head of sales and marketing essentially for their teams across the country.
Yeah.
And I loved that job. I loved it. But in any job I've ever had, it was always like well, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. You know what I mean? And it's always when you're exceptional, you're not widely accepted.
Yeah.
Okay. So just plan on having problems everywhere you go. Plan on,
it's never going to be easy.
No, it never was. Yeah. I had to fight for everything. And it wasn't even, I was in women-led industry. So it wasn't even like a male thing, But it was always like, if you come at leadership from a masculine energy.
Yeah.
If you are in your masculine energy approaching leadership, you will be perceived negatively.
Yeah.
What we need to do is weaponize our femininity and use what we are good at naturally to succeed in boardrooms, in leadership positions. Like, and now as a mother, I'm a better leader, right?
Yeah.
But so that was step 2. I loved that job. Then I got pregnant. And so I was already cusping, right, by moving to North Carolina and leaving my life in LA.
Yeah.
On this journey of I don't want to work to death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Then once I got pregnant, I was like, all right, I know I'm really good at being in business. I've checked the box. The box is done. And I want to be really good at being a mom. So I, told my husband at the time, like, I just want to sure to be a mom. Like, let me be a mom and we'll see how it goes. It didn't last super long before I was like, okay, I got to do something.
Get the itch.
Yeah. That's a pretty big jump to go from, I was a high flying corporate girl staying in, super nice hotels and having drinks at rooftop bars and traveling and designer bags and that kind of stuff, to getting married to a man who had 2 kids. And then I had 2 more within, less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So my kids were back to back. And so I went from a high flying single living my best life to 4 freaking kids in the middle of a pandemic, homeschooling, virtual schooling, newborn and toddler. And it was just like, okay, but I remember, I'll never forget the day that my husband at the time came home and I was so frustrated. And I said, and I had spilt milk everywhere or something, or maybe there was I don't know.
Yeah.
But I said, people used to listen to me. People used to come to hear what I had to say. And now nobody listens to me, and I'm like, I've been reduced to changing diapers every day. And it was just such a frustrating moment. But so during that time, I was contracting myself out as a consultant to keep my sanity. Yeah.
It's important
to have some time away.
Yeah.
Because that's the hard balance for women. They become moms and it's just like, I have friends whose kids are like 8 and they're like, I just don't want to leave them. Look at your face. You can't see her face right now, but her face is like, what is that about?
Your kids are in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aren't they in school sometimes? Like during the day?
Yeah. But, with my son, I was like all about him and doting on him all the time. And I still am. Right.
Yeah.
But then once I had my daughter, it was like, well, I have too many kids. So she's going to have to cry a little bit. But now you see how it worked out because my son is like, mama's boy, can we just like cuddle on the couch, mommy?
Yeah.
I just want to be touching
And
you.
your daughter's like,
and my daughter's like,
"Get the hell
what are
away
we
from
doing?
me."
I've got my shoes on. Here's my accessories for the day.
Yeah.
Why are we still sitting at the house?
love it.
Yeah.
She's like, we've got things to do, people to see.
She's got plans.
We've got to go.
Did you see my post today where I said, like, if you think I'm a firecracker, my daughter's wildfire? I say it all the time.
I love that.
My daughter's who I would have been if somebody hadn't silenced me.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the firecracker's just like pop, pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop here and there. The wildfire is like, no, we're on, we're growing, we are blowing, we're taking over the world.
Yeah.
And if I can protect that,
She's going to be,
oh my God.
yeah.
Because she loves big. There's no guilt in her love.
Yeah.
We say our prayers at night and when we say what we're grateful for and what we want more of. And she says, we'll say whatever we're grateful for. And then what she wants more of, she always says, I just want everybody to love me. I just want so many people to love me.
Love her.
But then we get told that that's like,
Yeah. Not a thing.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need so much love?
Yeah.
But I think that's normal for a 4-year-old
Yeah.
and for a girl and a human, right? To
I think
want.
that's great.
Yeah.
She knows it. She knows it.
Yeah. But she'll also mess you up. So just,
Watch out.
we go to the playground and she'll start her whole unruly gang. And she has a t-shirt that says the future is unruly on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Gang. If she shows up with that on,
It's over.
yeah.
It's over.
She's like, come with me, ladies. I also brought fairy wands to share. She like takes her like crown, her tiaras and like her fairy wands. She's like, who wants to play Wicked? I'm Linda.
Oh, that's perfect. Linda.
Linda.
I love that.
And mommy's Alpha.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. When you went in and did Unruly and started Unruly, and for the purposes that you were doing it for, were there any challenges that you went in doing this? Like, what were some of them for you?
There's only challenges. I mean, any business
Yeah.
is just trial and error. And contrary to my corporate career,
Right.
where I would have told you if you were on my team, like, what are your numbers? What are we doing? What's the plan? What's happening?
Yeah.
You know, and expected you to lay it all out for me.
Yeah.
I have never done that.
By yourself.
Yeah. The closest I get to it with my own brands is whiteboard sessions. We'll all go full like Goodwill Hunting on like a whiteboard,
Yeah.
you know, and just brain dump. Like it's huge. It goes from, I don't even know how, it's probably 8 or 9 feet long.
Yeah.
Massive, just the whole wall. But so I don't plan anything too far in advance with Unruly or the candles or any of it. So the challenges with Unruly, I would say, were letting the wrong people attach to it. You know, it's not a come one, come all. It is inclusive. I'm not saying that, but it's for who it's for.
Yeah.
Like you're attracted to it. I probably in the beginning, because nobody knew what we were, who we were, what we were doing, I was probably reeling people in. And then at some point I stopped doing that and said like, okay, like the people are coming without me doing that. So let's focus on those people. So I'd say mistake one was letting people, maybe not having as good of a filtering system and letting people attach to the brand that shouldn't have been, considering how personal it is to me. And then also just like, what are we even doing? Ticket sales, like how do we make money from this? Unruly started with the purpose of giving back. So our first 3 events, we donated all of the profit to,
Love that.
yeah, which is a great thought.
Yeah.
Right. But then it was like, which we still wanted partnerships in terms of nonprofits and things like that. But then I became a single mom and I was like, oh, I actually have to make money. I have to make money, you know, doing this. I can't donate everything.
I need cash flow to come in.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, I need to give back. So we still like partnered with like No Woman, No Girl and things like that to raise money and to give back. However, we had to shift focus and make sure that if I was giving that much time to anything and not going to have to go back to corporate, it needed to make money as well.
I want to see returns.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hard because from a challenge that I've experienced is we don't know when to give back to ourselves and when in terms we're leaving money on the table and things like that, whether you're partnering with somebody or you're just not charging enough. It's one of the biggest things that I've been like, ooh, we got to kind of learn to say, no, you're going to pay me.
Yeah. Well,
what it is.
It's profit margins, right? Like you just don't, even with candles, right?
Yeah.
Think about, you know, and I know we'll get to that in a bit, but like with any business, you have to know like what you're going to spend and what your profit margins need to be in order to actually get somewhere. Yeah. And if you have a hard product, then it's, if I don't buy, you know, $3,000 in materials, I can't make $9,000 worth of product.
Right.
So you're constantly just investing money. Yeah. Constantly until you can get to a place where like, well, if I can put, you know, if I can buy $20,000 in materials, now I can make $60,000. Yeah. But if you don't have that money to do that, that does not happen. Yeah. You can't scale. Yep.
So oldest product in the world, candle.
Yeah.
As you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Why, what did you go learn candles? Have you always loved candles? What was it about candles that got you into it?
Yeah. So I'm like a witchy girl, right?
Okay. Okay. I got it.
So my mom owned a store when I was little. Okay. And she, in shocking news, was a female entrepreneur. She had multiple businesses that kind of, you know, all were engulfed into one thing, but she was like a dreamer. She wasn't, she didn't have a strong business acumen. So, got it. So I say my strong business acumen came from like, okay, we're not going to do that. Yeah. You know, but also from like my dad's side of things. Yeah. So she had candles that she sold in her store, Yankee candles, which I mean,
who didn't grow up with a
we
Yankee
didn't know.
Candle in their house.
Yeah, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know what we didn't know back then.
Yeah.
But they, they're great. And one thing I was really good at was smelling all the candles without looking at the labels. Ooh. So I'd go to work with my mom at the store and I would just sit there and smell the candles and like play the little game with myself. Like, can I guess what it is? I would do that all the time. Love it. She'd take me to a lot of like antique shops and I collected antique candle holders.
Okay.
So I was really into that. Maybe a little bit of a pyro, just not great, but like to play with flames a little bit.
Yeah.
So when I always had this dream of like moving to some tiny little town, which I'm sure I saw in some movie, and like having my own little apothecary candle shop. So thank you, Practical Magic. But that was the dream, right? And then, I got into business and I started doing the things I was good at, not the things I liked. And then when I had the kids and we're at home with, during COVID and all that, I was like, well, I don't have any hobbies. Yeah. Like, why do I not?
Yeah.
Why have no hobbies? And my sisters too. Like, none of us had hobbies.
Yeah.
We're like, what's up with that? Because my mom's like the hobbyist of the world.
Yeah.
She's so crafty. And so I got like a bunch of candle stuff and my stepdaughter and I started like making candles for fun. And they were just like these ugly little things that we used, like stuff from Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
Literally, they would have caught on fire if we actually lit them. You cannot put random things in the wax.
Yep. Has to be safe things.
Yeah. So that was how it started. And then once I moved to the mountains, then I really was like, all right, I'm going all in on my candle dreams. And just had like a whole 500 square foot like workshop in our basement. Wow. Where I was able to make candles and really get into it for fun.
Yeah.
The thought was like, well, if I, just saved the $90 a month I spend on candles now, then I'd be in good shape. And I'd give them as gifts. And that's what all I was doing. And I was like that for 2 years before I ever sold a candle.
I love it.
Yeah. They look a lot different.
It's
now.
like the Starbucks thinking of like, if I just make coffee at home, I can save so much money every month.
Yeah.
Everybody has their thing.
Yeah. And again, not a plan.
Yeah.
No plan involved in that other than just like, okay, if it cost me this much to make a candle and normally I'd spend this much on a gift for somebody, I'll also save money doing that.
Yeah.
So that was the only thought process behind it. And then fast forward to 2023, I posted on a Facebook group in my neighborhood, like, hey, I'm making fall candles. Oh, and all the women went crazy. I had like 63 women that were like, holy I want a pumpkin candle, which we should have known, right? We're not
it's
shocked.
fall.
Yeah. It's like fall in southern Wake County. Come on.
The leaves are changing.
Yeah.
There's a change in the air.
Everybody
Here
wants a
comes
pumpkin. Yeah. And so the crazy thing is I had accepted a VP job.
Okay.
And I was going back to big girl work.
Okay.
When this is happening. I took the job for 6 days and everyone's probably seen this reel, but I took the job for 6 days and then I quit.
Good for you.
And they waited the whole summer for me to start. So it was a very asshole thing. I'm very unemployable. They waited the whole summer for me to start that job. And within 6 days, I was like, nope, not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I don't want to deal. It was instant trauma, my reputation in the corporate world was a fixer. So they were hiring me to come fix things. And then I was like, I don't want to fix anything. I just want to make candles. I love it. Yeah. Big risk. My husband's like, are you sure you can't just keep the job for the salary? I'm like, no.
No, I want to go make candles.
No, I just want to like dance in the woods.
Magic.
26-year-old Kerriann would have been like, what is wrong with you?
What the hell?
You take that job. We worked for this.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. What is the naming behind Violette Eve?
My daughter.
Okay.
So the Violet is my daughter.
Okay.
Evelyn was my stepdaughter.
Okay.
Once upon a time. And so it was named Violette Eve for both of them. But
nice.
Now if you ask Violet, it's just she's Violette Eve. So she's a celebrity.
She knows.
She knows.
She knows. People are there for her.
Yeah. She thinks it's hilarious that there's candles everywhere with her name on them. Like when we go to stores and stuff, she's like, oh, that's me. She literally says, I'm Violette Eve Candle Company. And I love this story, by the way. My son's job, he has 2 jobs.
Yep.
2 jobs. One job is to keep mommy's vase full of flowers. Yeah. And the second job is to protect his baby sister.
He's the sweetest.
So we were at the store and he's going to pick out the flowers because that's his job. And he's like, I want to pick out the flowers. And then Violet's like, I want to pick out the flowers. And Gray's like, this is my job. You have your own company. You have your whole company. Like this was a legitimate argument my kids had it in the store.
I love this.
Yeah. And they're 4 and 5.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Oh gosh, when they're teenagers. He's like, it's an LLP, not an LLC. We need to change it. We need a
reorg situation happen here. Yes. Yes. Things aren't catching on fire anymore because of bad materials. How did you go and change? What did you go learn to make the candles so they weren't, flammable and burning everything to the ground?
Well, just for the record, my candles have never caught anything on fire. And we do have insurance. It's very important. So research.
Okay.
YouTube. Testing.
University.
So much testing goes into one candle. And that's not to say that for every candle maker. Some people are winging it, but you do have to test every single formula of percentage of wick, the size of the wick, the wax, and then the oils. So it's just a lot of testing. And just research on like what's clean and what's not.
Okay.
What's the highest quality. We use natural soy wax, so it burns really, really, really slow.
Nice.
So I'll plug that my candles they're $38, but you'd have to buy 3 Bath and Body Works triple wicks to burn for the same amount of time. And let's not talk about the toxins, but so when people are like $38 for a candle, it's burns for 72 hours. That is triple the time. In some cases, more than triple.
Yeah.
And they're refillable. So then,
I love a refillable candle.
So then they can bring me their empties and I refill them, and it's 35% cheaper.
I love that.
Yeah. I aim to solve problems when I make candles. I hated wasting the glass.
Okay.
So that was part of what vessels am I going to use?
Yep.
I had to buy something that was thick enough.
Yep.
To be able to keep reusing it.
Yep.
And then in terms of the crackling wooden wick, I find it more pleasing, and I love wood fireplaces. So and then we use clean fragrance oils.
Okay.
Because you can't just put essential oils in a candle.
Yeah. What is your smell? Are you a floral? Are you a...
Before I made candles, I would have been a woodsy, spicy girl.
Okay.
Yeah. But now it's everything. My house is always a season off. Because I'm always
Are you still burning Christmas and winter right now?
No, we're ahead. So I'm in summer.
Okay.
I'm in summer. And I don't burn my I don't burn my line because we make private label.
Oh,
it's probably the bread and butter of my business is making private label candles for other people.
Okay.
So if a business owner comes and says, I want my own brand of candles, I want my own candle line, I make it for them.
Yep.
So I get to be the creative without, I got to go sell wholesale and get all these accounts. And there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
You need that as well. But I do private label. So usually what's burning in my house is a custom scent for a private label client.
You save the good shit for your house. Unruly Women Podcast. You've got you got candles, you got the events going on. Why go start this podcast about talking to these particular business owners, women, all of this?
I love the sound of my own voice.
Okay.
No, just kidding. Half kidding. So I think that our stories are important. And one thing that really changed about Unruly is that when we started, it was about small business owners.
Yeah.
And now it's not. It still is, right? In a sense. But some of them are just career professionals. Yeah. Right? Some of them are doctors. We have to have room for them too. Yeah. And we shifted to being not about the businesses and about the women and their stories. Yeah. Whoever it may be. They might have a business. They might have a regular job. They might have both. But it's about their stories. And for me, I'm a very contrarian thinker, in my opinion. Yeah. In my contrarian opinion. And so I like asking questions. Have you listened to any of the episodes?
I have.
Have you noticed anything about the questions that I ask and the thoughts that are provoked?
Yes.
Do you think I'm a devil's advocate?
I think it's always good to be a devil's advocate in episodes. I don't want to come into an episode where everybody agrees 24/7. I want challenges.
What's your perspective, actually? Now I'm interested.
I like if I have a perspective and you don't agree with it, I would love to have that. I would
Yeah.
love to have that conversation because this is a place where I want people to learn, and learning people aren't going to agree 24/7.
Do you feel like listening to our episodes that you know what my actual opinion is by the time you're done? Or do you feel like you're actually never clear on what Kerriann's opinion was?
No, I think I have an understanding. Yeah.
Because I try to just keep it like it's about them.
Yeah.
You know, I do have firm opinions on some things,
Yeah.
right? When I get on my soapbox. But it's like our producer says, like it's just like therapy. Every episode is like
absolutely.
therapy.
Yeah.
You know, just asking like
Yeah.
more and more questions.
Yep.
And the women at the end are always like, whoa, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And I want women to stand up for themselves, and I want women to think about things a little differently.
Yeah.
I think that we are in a society where there's a traditional woman and there's a modern woman, and there's a lot of polarity in that. But I'm somewhere in the middle. You know, I'm
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
I'm both. You know, and I listen to a lot of podcasts and read books that are not in a feminine space, which challenges my way of naturally thinking.
Yeah.
And so I guess part of me is hoping to bring that to other women.
Yeah. I like having different perspectives and different people on because I think it's just you can go back and forth and have a nice, healthy banter conversation, whatever it may be. And you're just kind of learning more about that person, how that person thinks. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're so awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like, because, okay, like my hairstylist came on. Like, my hairstylist is not usually going to get asked to go be on a podcast.
Right.
Right? Like, she sits there and listens to all of our stories all day long. That's all we do in the salon, right? But she's never going to have that opportunity. And she says the most interesting shit. And it's like, in Mariah, Girl with the Good Brows, like I laugh my butt off every time I am near her. And she's one of my dear friends, you know, now. And she's taught me so much about myself and so much about how she moves and how she handles business. Yep. A lot of the thing I was talking about in terms of what I did wrong with Unruly in the beginning, she kind of exemplified for me in a way of like protecting your brand and who you attach to. And, you know, you can be inclusive without letting everybody in. Yeah. You know, she's a big proponent of that. Yeah. And then you have Carolyn.
Sweet, sweet Beaufemme.
Yeah. Well,
Hooters.
And what?
Hooters.
Hooters. Who knew? Who knew? And
I loved how you made that clip. Like that was the clip that went out. Yeah. I was like, Hooters.
And the problem, so we had an issue with that episode because we kept gailing. And so it kept jacking the sound up. Like it kept, you especially having your own podcast probably heard it. And I was struggling. We had to edit it a lot and it still was rough. Yeah. But so we missed this huge part of like the Hooters story, which is funny. So you go listen to the episode, you actually never hear what happened with the Hooters.
The whole story.
Yeah. You don't actually know what
so
happened.
Good, though.
She got her I think she like exchanged numbers with her husband's friend. Her now husband, right? But she actually liked him. Yeah. And so then like they found each other on Facebook and there was a whole like loop-de-doo. But yeah, so I knew her story, her personal story. Yeah. And she wasn't telling other people, right? I think it was me, like a couple girlfriends. Yeah. And I really wanted her to share her experience. Yeah. And some of my closest friends are like, she's so brave. I would never get on there and do that.
It's hard. Those are topics that are hard to talk about.
Yeah. Yes. And also like Sophia, the one about like healing. These are people who, you know, for all intents and purposes, they are your average just women that you would meet every day. Right. Yeah. But the stories are incredible. Yeah. There's so much more to her story that she didn't even touch on. We still have another 6 episodes to release. And there's more. Yeah. You know, and it's just interesting that we don't ever hear from these types of people. And it's good for me too. Like it grows me. And there's a lot of
100%.
self-actualization through that.
Yep. That's what I love it. Every time I come out of an episode, I feel like I've like something else has opened up and you've just let all of this in, that you're just so appreciative of like this energy that's come between you and your guest.
Are you appreciative right now?
I am. I'm
How
laughing
deep
today.
is your appreciation? On a scale of 1 to 10.
I'm at a 10.
Size matters. Okay. I also like to win.
I'm at a 10.
Yeah, great.
We're on it might be a 12 by the time
Yeah, let's go for 12.
I'm here for
Let's
it.
raise the bar.
I love it. When you've got these unruly events happening, what should people expect? What do you want people to kind of experience and feel when they walk into one of your events?
Welcome.
Okay.
You can sit with us. Connection. And you're going to do cool shit, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm pivoting like with the meeting, the new thing, which is the meeting, because I have found that people will come no matter what. It doesn't really matter what we're doing.
Yeah.
It could be a sound bath. It could be permanent jewelry. It could be tattoos. It could be dirty mahjong. You know, it really doesn't matter what we're doing. They just want the connection.
Yeah.
And so they're welcome. You can sit with us. People may or may not know who I am when they walk into, especially like our night markets where it's come one, come all.
Yeah.
Free for everyone, you know, to have that available for people who can't maybe afford tickets.
Yeah.
They'll walk in and I'm like, hi, hello, welcome. You know, they're like, some of them are like, oh, they know exactly who I am, right? They've seen the marketing, you know, they've come. Some of them are like, look, I just live in the area. It looked like there was a party going on here. And so we
just
came.
wandered over.
Yeah. And some women, they're so wonderful. I had a woman stop me one day on her way out. She'd brought her daughter. A lot of women bring their daughters, their little girls.
Is Violet there?
No. And it's so sad.
She'd probably feel like she's
pissed. She's so pissed. She gets
people asking for
they're
her
like,
autographs.
why do we never go to your events? But she's like, I'm going to throw my event when I get older. She wants to plan one. I'm going to let her plan one soon. They have not, I can't work when they're there.
Yeah. It's hard.
And which brings me to a different subject, which you may have heard me talk about. I don't work when I have my kids.
Yeah.
I do not. I'm
I think it's
100% in my
smart.
feminine nurturer energy. And the second I start dabbling in work, it just messes me up.
You lose the focus of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're all so guilty of it.
Yeah.
We are so guilty of it. Like, I will sit there and be like, do I really need to do this post? Even though, like, look, it's the morning, we're sitting on the couch. They probably don't care, you know? Do I really need to pick the song for this reel right now? You know?
Yeah.
Do I need to send this email? Like, and this week was tough because I had 5 days of spring break, no relief.
Yeah.
Right. And going to the beach and living our best lives. And I'm watching my emails stack up.
Yeah.
But I had that time, and that time's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, and then they go to their dad's house and it's like, okay, well, now I'm sad. But then I'm like, boom, 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 gotta get all the work done.
Gotta get all of this done.
Yeah, like go. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's becoming more of a popular thing that I have heard people be like, I'm not we're not meant to be multitaskers. And when people are around, when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. And I'm like, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to irritate me, like, listen to me say I'm with my kids. I can't get to this right now. And then try to keep bothering me. So I actually have like my phone set where it's on this setting where I only get texts or calls.
Yeah.
And then I don't really give my number out.
Okay.
So like for you, for example, like all your contact has been through email or DMs.
Yeah.
So I don't have, my socials are always shut off, which Instagram's actively punishing me for right now because I don't sit there and scroll to death.
Yeah.
I will support. Okay, listen, let me say this right now. If you want someone to go like your shit and share it and like support you, a comment, something, just send it to my DMs. I will do it.
Yeah.
I will never see it otherwise because I don't sit there and thumb through.
Yeah.
And then Instagram's like, well, you're not addicted to us, so we're not rewarding you.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a challenge right now. I'm watching my viewership like drop and drop.
Yeah. I'm like, it sucks sometimes dealing with that. I'm like, guys, just let us be able to do what we need to do.
But I don't need it. I think last month it was like, oh, you've reached 80,000 people, which again is peon compared
Like,
to
crazy.
actual influencers who do this for work.
Yeah.
I'm not an influencer, as I
Right.
say all the time. But, you know, and part of me could be like, oh, that sucks. I don't need to reach 80,000 people. I need
But the fact that you are is,
yeah, but I don't need that many.
Yeah.
I you know, we have 2,100 followers. That's not a lot.
yeah.
But guess what? People trust what I put on there.
Yeah.
You know? And if I'm like, I don't do this because I'm not an influencer, but if I was like, this eye cream's the bomb,
Yeah.
they'd probably go buy it.
Yeah.
You know, or like my brow girl who's
Get your commission off
yeah,
the
no, I don't get anything. But you know what I do get? And I talked about this on the stories yesterday. I had this epiphany midday where I was like, holy cow, every meeting I had today so far was because somebody spoke about me in a room I wasn't in.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
I had a meeting in the morning where one of my sourdough girl, who I love, Jessica, she tracked down somebody who like she had heard on a podcast talk about like loving candles. She tracked this person down just to say, I would love to give you a candle from one of my friend's line. She literally chased him down and then she connected us. And so now we're working on something together, but that, and then the other one being my friend Michelle, you know, who I met through Unruly as well, both of them through Unruly.
Yeah.
And she was in a store and they were like talking about refillable candles. And she's like, I got someone who does refillable candles. She didn't have to do that for me.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what Unruly is. It's a lot of things. But Unruly has opened so many doors for the candles.
Yeah.
Because you can get candles. Like you can go anywhere and get candles.
No.
Look, they aren't my candles, but like there's plenty of candle makers,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
There's a candle maker right next to Kerriann, her shop. She's a very sweet woman,
Yeah.
and makes good candles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's lots of us out there.
Yeah.
But why do people buy mine, you know, like versus the next person's? It's not usually it doesn't really have anything to do with the candles.
It's just the word of mouth and the people that are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I don't have a marketing budget.
Yeah.
I guess Unruly is my marketing budget. But it's yeah. And then the day before too, like actually after this, the meeting I have after this, it's somebody who's selling my candles for me because I can't go be at markets every weekend because I have my kids. And so instead of me going to markets, they're just going to sell my candles at their market, at their booth.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she literally was like, you've done so much for me. I would do this for you.
I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
But of course I'm like, no, let me give you like a cut, you know?
I'll give you.
Let's still be
give you
fair.
some money.
Yeah, let's be fair. But yeah, it's like that. And like the
Yeah.
women in Unruly, like they come to my kids' birthday parties.
That's cool.
They helped me move out of my house when I left. They showed me what community is in a way that made me realize the way I was living was bad.
Yeah.
And that there was another option and that you could be loving and compassionate and it could not
Yeah.
be a weakness. And I didn't need to be like the bad gal, you know, like, which
Yeah.
I still kind of am. But like they taught me that compassion and love is not bad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you know, and I didn't have a big group of girlfriends. I didn't have a village.
Yeah.
I have a village now
That's awesome.
of friends and of business owners, right? And contacts. But that's what Unruly is. It's
love
not
that.
like come meet up with other marketing
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
you know, or I don't know,
Yeah.
mom groups or something. I don't know.
All the Facebook.
I don't
groups.
know. And there's something for everyone.
Yeah. Everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got their group where they find their people.
Yeah. Well, and we talk about like the women in Unruly. Let's talk about her, right? Like one consistent thing I found was like a lot of us are really experienced
Yeah.
in whatever we do, right? We've
Yeah.
got experience under our belt. We've got our opinions. We are looking to evolve and grow and connect with other people who are similar to us that don't think it's all like roses and sunshine. But one thing I thought was funny is like we don't do big speaking events because the women in Unruly are like, I'm not going to a speaking event unless I'm the one speaking.
Yeah.
Because it's just a different stage in life, right? Unless maybe it's like, I don't know, Mel Robbins or something. I would go listen to Layla Hermosi. Do you know Layla Hermosi
Yes.
and Alex Hermosi?
Yes.
Again, what's funny about that? What is he known for? Big hustle culture.
Yeah.
Why do I listen to him? Like, have we heard anything I've said today? Isn't that funny? I love listening to him. It's contrarian,
Yeah.
right? It just
Yeah.
feeds it.
Yeah. It kind of goes back to when we started talking that a little bit of the masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I need, like, I'm not going to grow if I live in a feminine, like if my feminine all the time. That's already what I'm good at.
Yeah.
You know, if we take the masculine information and the energy and the different viewpoints, and when we put that into ourselves, then we can take bits and pieces. We don't need to take it all.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, you got to do this and work harder and F your feelings, you know, work harder, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, actually today I was a little in my feels and I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah. I didn't feel like participating in this world so much.
The universe will bring it to me.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
But I do both, right?
Yeah.
I notice a lot of really hardworking women they act like everything good that happened to them was an accident.
Mm.
Do you ever notice that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And then this thing happened. And
Just luck.
Yeah. What happened?
No. There's a lot of work.
Yeah. You have to put things in motion.
Yeah.
And what's meant for you will come.
Yep.
But you got to put things in motion.
I
It's like
agree.
online dating. You don't need to go and swipe, but like it's kind of like, let's just put myself out there at least.
Yeah. If the Unruly Women Collective had an official theme song, what would it be?
Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Good Lord. Didn't mean to pray to you right now. Ooh, that's so hard. I mean, Doja Cat Boss Bitch.
I like it.
But I feel like it's a little defamatory. I don't know. It's a little degrading depending on who you ask. But I will say, like, I perfectly time my runs with like that.
Yes.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make cool like dude. And I'm like, if I can take off on my runs. Probably that.
Okay.
I'd say she's somewhere between Jessie Murph, Ella Langley.
Oh.
Like she's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
Jessie Murph, Avery Anna, and then like Ella Langley's in the middle.
Okay.
Weren't for the win.
Yeah.
Never mind.
That's a
It's
great
a
one.
heartbreaker that way.
Yeah.
I can't sing, so we're not going to do that. Or You Look Like You Love Me.
Yeah.
She's Ella Langley. We'll go
There
with
you
that.
go. I like it. If you could host an Unruly Women retreat anywhere in the world, where would it be? What would be the experience like?
We are hosting our first retreat in the summer.
There we go.
TBD on that. It's not anywhere in the world. It's in North Carolina.
Okay.
It's in the mountain community to support my home of our Western North Carolina mountains.
Love it.
But anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
that's tough. I don't know. Western North Carolina?
Okay.
Am I thinking too small?
No, I like it. I like Italy then.
Oh, we're probably in the countryside of France drinking wine.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. What's one unruly decision you've made in business or life that ended up being the best thing for you?
I think we covered it already. I don't want to do this. I don't want this VP salary.
The 6 days was enough.
I would rather be making candles than doing this. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, I've quit jobs because I just didn't like their principles.
I think it's so not done today that it needs to be done more.
Bad people don't win eventually.
Yeah.
I've worked with people that were trash,
Yeah.
and like they suss themselves out because they cannot, low integrity, inauthenticity, they just can't sustain long term.
Yeah.
So they eventually will weed themselves out.
Yep. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Bad people don't win. I love that.
Bad people do not win.
Love it.
And I have to believe that because sometimes it feels like they could win for a while. And then I'm like, they got to lose eventually, right?
Yep. Yep. It's got to go. They got to just, karma's going to come back around here. It's at some point or the other.
Yeah. The universe won't allow it forever.
Yep. Yep. I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me today
Thank you.
and getting to this debauchery of sorts.
Are your other guests more professional?
It just depends. It just depends what we're feeling for the day.